As always.
And hello, everybody. Welcome to Kindasound Radio this morning on the Reality Bite Show. And today I've got a very impromptu guest who I basically had a quick conversation with randomly via Messenger and said, "Do you want to come on my radio show?" And she kindly said yes. So, Liz Ward, thank you for joining me this morning.
Hello. Very impromptu.
Yeah, sort of threw this one at you a little bit. So Liz is an MAR reflexologist, which we're going to find out about very, very soon, a Reiki healer, and she uses shamanics as well in what she does. So Ruth, as I sort of explained to you prior to the show, it's called Reality Bites, and that's because I like to share sort of people's lives, where they come from, you know, what they've been up to and how they've got to where they are and their plans for the future. So just to start with, because I just love anybody listening to get a sense of what was behind the being when they were growing up. So what was your family background like? Where did you sort of grow up, and what were your early days, parental guidance sort of?
Well, I'm a 70s child.
Same here.
Born in 1970. So I literally went through those wonderful years of the 70s parenting. And I spent a lot of time. I was born in Witham in Essex, but then I very quickly moved over to Suffolk, from Bures, then into a place called Glempsford, which was a tiny little village just outside of Bury St Edmunds, sort of between Sudbury and Bury St Edmunds in Suffolk. And not much going on there, really. Just a little primary school, and then you had to keep bussing it out of the village, and yeah, just had a really nice childhood, actually. And we have a field in Essex, which I actually still part own. And we used to go down there at weekends. So I spent a lot of time over Sea, which is out near the Blackwater, and swimming in the estuary and wading around in mud.
Well, you're actually from my neck of the woods, because I grew up in Boreham.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So I'm a 1972 kid. Yeah, from Boreham, and I grew up in a pub called the Queen's Head.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Wow.
The one right in the middle of the village. Pardon?
I probably know it.
Oh, you would if you drove through the village, you'd see it. Yeah. So it's nice. I didn't know any of that, obviously. So it's nice to meet someone who's local. So where did you say you are now?
I'm in Ipswich now. I moved from Sudbury to Ipswich in 2016. I'd met my husband at that point, and so I decided to move this way because that's where he'd lived. He was born in Basildon and then moved over to here when he was a child. So he's lived over here for many, many years. So yeah, we're both in Ipswich now.
How strange is that we've been speaking to each other on Messenger and you're literally just up the road? I was expecting you to be somewhere up the country. Do you know what I mean? This is what normally happens when I have these conversations.
Yeah.
So childhood, you said Witham, you sort of had a really, really nice childhood. What were your parents like when it comes to sort of like family values and work ethic and stuff like that? What was the basis of your family?
Well, Dad was a really hardworking man. He was an engineer. So when he went to Witham, he moved from London. So he was Hackney, my mum was Stoke Newington. And in those days, you used to get a council house to move out of London, which is really strange to us now. We can't imagine it. But they were trying to get people out of London. So they moved out when my mum was pregnant with my brother. And they came over to Witham, and then my dad got a job in Bures, and so they moved over to Bures, and then they moved over to Glempsford, and he had a job with CAV Lucas, which is in Sudbury. Well, it's obviously gone now. It used to be in Sudbury, and that's why we moved over to the Sudbury area. So you know, it was a great childhood. I mean, in the little villages, even though there wasn't much going on, we had a lot of fun.
Was yours like mine then, similar? Because I'm obviously born in a very small village when I was growing up there. We were just always out down the fields causing havoc, doing stuff.
Absolute mayhem. I'm sure that all the poor people who lived in the villages must have got really fed up with us as children.
Yeah, playing knockdown ginger and heads jumping through their gardens and
just finding ways to amuse ourselves.
That's it. Yeah, it was never harmful though, was it? There was never anything malicious about it.
No, I mean the occasional person fell out of a tree and broke their nose and things like that. But yeah, other than that, it was pretty harmless. Yeah, just good fun.
Yeah,
We
we
weren't
didn't.
indoors.
No, we didn't have the old health and safety regulations that they've got now. We weren't wrapped up in cotton wool, were we? It was
No.
like,
No, my brother used to, when we were at Mayland, which was obviously the weekends in the summer, the whole family used to go down. We used to have my aunties, uncles, cousins, and us, obviously. And we used to all go, and my nan, and we all used to go down. And then just to see if the tide was up, my brother would climb a 60-foot tree just to see if the tide was up. Crazy days.
yeah, we used to, well, do not quite the same as that, but we were always up and down trees and always down
Oh,
the fields. And we'd just be
yeah,
told, just come, be back for dinner. And then when you went out after dinner, it'd be back before it gets dark. That was
yeah,
pretty much the rule. That was it.
yeah, absolutely. And we used to go down the river and swim in the river. And
I mean,
I mean, we were in the fields. We used to jump over the haystacks. They used to have those big heaps of haystacks.
yeah.
We'd be doing all kinds of acrobatics over those. And oh, honestly, I don't know how I survived.
Yeah, many a time we got chased by our local farmers for doing things on haystacks that we weren't meant to be doing. Yeah.
And then there was when we got older, you got paid to pick the wild oats, which now obviously I think they
Oh, okay.
probably use herbicides, but they used to use the local children
Oh,
to,
okay. Oh,
to
that's
pick the
interesting.
oat out of the fields. And yeah, used to earn
Oh,
quite
me and
good
my
money
sister
doing that.
we were having a conversation yesterday actually about how we were earning money as kids. It was either yesterday or at the beginning of the week, and we used
Hmm.
to go bean picking. So
Wow.
like we had the pub, so we could from little tot age, we'd bottle up for dad in the morning and clean
Yeah,
the fires
yeah,
out and stuff. So we
yeah,
always had a work ethic. But when we
yeah,
got to sort of 13, 14, 15, we were allowed to go down and join the bean pickers and stuff. And my sister
yeah,
used to be like a
yeah.
maniac bean picker. And people used to get the hump with her because she'd earn more money than like most of the adults down there. And she'd be like a maniac picking everything. But that's how we used to manage to
Yeah, and
go
the
out. And
and the ladies who had children, they didn't really go to work too much in those days. Most mothers wanted to be at home with their children in those days, and so they used to go apple picking.
mm,
And we used to be there amongst the apple trees, just playing in the fountains when we were really little and before we started school. And yeah, I can remember that with the old cronky old bus used to come and pick all the mums up and all their kids in the holidays, and they'd all go off apple picking. So that
oh,
was a really nice memory of things that don't happen anymore. It's so sad, isn't it? We don't.
it is. Yeah, my friends have got a fruit farm. Well, it's actually just been sold. Little Badder Hall Fruit Farm, just
Yeah.
been going for years, and they,
Oh,
ended up taking like loads of the trees out and all sorts of stuff. And it's just such a, when you see the end of an era and you go, we
yeah,
need this stuff. It was part of
yeah.
building the family unit. I remember going strawberry picking with my parents
Hmm.
always, and plum
Yeah.
picking and raspberry picking, and like you say, gooseberries, apples, pears. It
Yeah.
was like a whole season long thing, wasn't it?
It was, and I'm still a keen gardener now. So I sort of got that from being a country girl. I just love gardening, and I actually have vegetables in my garden as well. I just love it, and I think that comes from being born and brought up in the countryside, and definitely understanding where your food comes from really helps.
Yeah, I tell you what, you say that there's a lot of kids actually. When I go into schools and talk to them about certain things, they have no concept of where food comes from. They just think it literally appears in a packet, and
It's just strange,
it's
to me.
baffling, absolutely
Yeah.
baffling. Yeah.
Yeah, I love to grow things. If I grow something and I can eat it, that's even better.
Oh yes, fabulous. At the moment, I've got carrots and white beetroot that are
Hmm.
ready at the moment. So I'm literally eating them every day. That's what I'm living on off
Yeah.
at the moment. It's been basically how many different ways can you cook a carrot and a white beetroot? I found
Well, it's so
multiple
good for
ways.
you. So good for you. And I've got raspberries just growing and I'm picking them off
Yeah.
and and they just do it themselves. I don't have to do anything with those. And I've got courgettes coming now. So it's just getting huge now. It's just like, yeah,
Yeah, it's
I'll
great.
be
My mum and dad have a lovely bigger plot in their garden as well. So when I only grow a certain amount here, I've got raspberries. I think I've got 6 different types of raspberries, so they come on all through the season. I'm just waiting
yeah,
for my last lot now, like the later ones to come in now. So, and mine never make it into the house. I go down, literally just eat them off the bush when I'm down there, and that's it.
That's what you should do, though. When my children were little, I used to grow raspberries and strawberries, and I'd quite often find my children down the bottom of the garden just picking them and eating them. So yeah, it's great. It's really nice to be able to do that. That's what
Oh,
we
it
should
is
be doing.
definitely. We just should be getting back to it. We sort of come so far away from all the family values.
We have, and just little things like that that just give you a little bit of joy in your life. And
Oh,
you know,
massively.
I'm very lucky. I do still have a very joyful life,
Yeah.
and I've made some great progress with things in the last few years as well with my life. And just like I saw your little thing this morning, and just letting go of negativity. And those things, like the gardening, like going out into nature, they create joy. And
Yeah.
if we just get back to that just a little bit, you know, I'm a bit of a tree hugger. I just love the energy of nature. It's in me.
Well, it's
It's,
so connective. I've got a friend who he always reminds me about like grounding. And I know how good it is for you, but then he shows me the scientific data where they wire people up to a bit of kit and look at
yeah,
them like thermally and stuff like that. And they'll
yeah,
look at them before they go outside, they'll check all their inflammation, take bloods, and then they'll go stand them on the ground for an hour, bring them
yes,
back in, and then do the same measurements. And it's like, wow, what it
yeah,
actually does for you. You know, it removes inflammation out of your body, it lowers your heart rate, it lowers your blood pressure. You know, it's
yeah.
so good for every aspect of the human being, and we've been so disconnected from it, isn't it? It's where all this disease comes from. And
Yeah. Yeah, well, dis-ease is disease, dis-ease.
mm,
We have to remember the words that we use. When you're diseased, you're stressed, that is dis-ease. So then that creates disease,
mm,
because we need to connect with the earth. And a lot of my work that I'm doing now, obviously, especially with the reflexology, in with the feet, it goes into that very much so, into the way that we connect with the stones on the ground, with the earth and everything else. And so that's what reflexology does, actually. It obviously gives you back that connection which we've lost. And I combine that, so it helps to get the energy body right as well. So I'm doing a little bit of both those things with those two therapies. So,
yeah,
you know, obviously going outside and getting bare feet, even in
yeah,
the
that's I'm literally bare feet all the time. My sorry listeners for this. My feet are green at the moment. The reason being, it's not because I don't wash, it's because I mowed the lawn. And when I mow the lawn, I mow the lawn barefoot. So yeah, my feet need a good wash. It's not because I'm filthy, it's just because I've been outside mowing the grass.
which is okay, unless of course you run your foot over with the lawnmower.
Yeah, hopefully I'm not that stupid that I'm gonna do. You never know with me though. The stuff I've been up to this morning already, like it's yeah. So,
My
but
own father did that when I was a child, and
what, run
actually
his foot over?
ran his toe over with the lawnmower, and that's not such a good memory.
Oh no, did he
Um,
chop it off?
he cut it quite badly. I can still remember it. Yeah,
No,
silly. But
that's not a
we
good
all
thing.
do
No,
silly things.
I'm quite careful. Anybody listening, just make sure if you're mowing barefoot, you know, health and
Don't
safety
run
on
your
that.
foot over.
Don't run your foot over with the mower.
That was
Right.
in the 80s, I think. So we didn't have health and safety in those days.
No, no. My dad still got the proper old school lawnmowers as well. You know, the proper petrol ones that yeah, there's not a lot of health and safety that comes with them. They tend to
No.
take off down the garden with you as well, which is quite amusing.
Yeah.
But song number one for us today. So I love your playlist for today because it just takes me back to my youth, basically. So Video Killed the Radio Star by the Bugles. Why do you like this one?
I don't know. It's one of these songs that's so bad it's good. It just reminds you that, you know, we need the radio, but if, as we say, the video killed the radio star, so we've gone over to that, you know, the visual, everything's visual. And sometimes we just need to listen.
Yeah, 100%. You've got two ears for a reason, haven't you, and one mouth.
Absolutely.
So Django, if you wouldn't mind, a bit of Video Killed the Radio Star this morning, please. and welcome back to Kindasound this morning on the Reality Bite Show with my lovely guest, Liz Ward. So, Liz, we were talking about sort of childhood and that. So we've heard a little bit. You're from my neck of the woods, similar sort of upbringing, out and about all the time, connecting with nature, and basically just finding some joy in life, which is what kids should be doing. So, schooling for you then, what was your experience of school?
Do you know, I absolutely loved school, but I wasn't greatly academic. I passed just. You know, of English I was really good at. Maths, oh, I almost think I was dyscalculate. But I think just the social of school was amazing. I really enjoyed being with other people. I can't imagine that not connecting with other people. And that was the wonderful thing about school. And in our day, obviously there was less pressure on us. I think there's more pressure on the children these days to do well. And I think the one message I can take from my schooling is, you know, it hasn't really done an awful lot for me in adult life. It got me a few jobs, but I think really, you know, yes, try and do what you can, but I think as you go along you're going to find out where you really want to be, and that's after school you will study the thing you really want to do. And that's what I've been doing in the last 3 years, 4 years, unbelievably, since I started my journey with this. I got to the age of 50 and actually studied and passed all these things, and now I'm doing this. So there's never a time when it's too late to do something about, you know, what you want to do. Not, you know, it might be you take a job because you need the money, but at some point you might just decide, actually I want to do this. And so it's never too late. It's never too late. That's the one message.
100% agree with that. I hear it so much from people, you know, where they're in a job and then they'll say, oh yeah, I would change, but you know, I'm a bit old now to relearn anything. It's like, I have learned more the same as you, probably from 30 years old on. So 30 onwards, I've learned more than what I ever did through my education system at school. And I enjoy the learning.
Sorry.
I was going to say, I enjoy the learning as well. That's the thing. I think when you're at school, like you say, you're forced into, you will learn this, you will learn that. And if you've got no interest in it, anybody who's got no interest in something is going to find it hard to learn. But when you get to choose your learning, it's a different kettle of fish, isn't it?
I think so. And I think it's a bit like passing your driving test and then you learn to drive. So you pass all of your, as many exams as you can, obviously, at school, and then you learn, well, what do I really want to do? And it might be years and years before you actually find the calling, which is, what do I really, really want to do? You know, and you have that opportunity to do it. And this, I've always known that I really wanted to do it, but it's only in the last few years I've actually had the opportunity and sort of, you know, the right circumstances in which to do it. And
so did you
all the effort in?
Did you know what, when you was at school then, what were you lining yourself up to do? Because if you're anything like, you know, we were just told, I mean, I wanted to be a car mechanic originally. And that sort of went out the window. I had an accident when I was 17 and ended up like going off with a spinal injury off on a totally different tangent. So everything changed in life. But we were just told, get a job, earn some money, then find something that makes you happy. Was that the same for you?
I went and did a bit of a course in business and ended up working for the Inland Revenue, would you believe, for quite a few years. And when I had my children, I went on a career break, and then I came back to the revenue, and then I thought, oh, they were making redundancies, so I took redundancy, and just I'm glad, because it sent me off on different directions. Worked in the schools for a little while, in the school systems, and then a couple of other jobs. Did a little bit of legal work for a little while actually after that. And then my youngest child got quite unwell, and I'd also been quite unwell because I have an autoimmune disease. So I thought, what can I do where I can just decide what I want to do, you know, rather than being told you have to go in 9 to 5 and this is what you have to do.
Yeah.
So I started a little cleaning business, and I did that for 6 years. And actually, it showed me I can run my own business, and I did it very successfully until I was about 50, which was 2019. My husband said to me, "You're really wrecking your body now. I know that you love doing what you do, but please stop." And he said, "Take some time off and decide what you would like to do. Find a course and I'll pay for it."
Oh, right,
So,
lovely.
so
How
I went.
beautiful to have a husband like that.
I absolutely adore him. He's the person I needed in my life, all of my life, to actually be the best version of myself, rather than just struggling along and doing what you have to do. I was finally able to think, well, actually, what would I really like to do? And that's what got me where I am now. So
How lovely would it be to have that opportunity when you're at school, though?
oh,
You know
wouldn't
what I
it?
mean?
It
To
would
be
be,
educated in a fashion where it was all about what do you want? What do you want to learn? What have you got an interest in? What's your creative? Where's your creativity lie? What talents have you got? And then
yeah,
just allow you, get a bit of your vocational stuff in as well.
yeah.
But just
It was a bit kind of unnerving at the time when he said that to me, because I was like, I don't even know. I don't even know. And I was in a bit of a quandary because I knew that I couldn't carry on doing the cleaning business because it was actually starting to make me feel quite unwell at this point, and I
right,
and I knew I had to give it up. But also I didn't want to just go into some humdrum old thing and just do that either. And I knew I was good. I knew before this, because when my children were very little, I could bring temperatures down just using my hands and just using, you know, I could do that. So I thought I'd like to go into some kind of healing work, but I don't know what.
right.
And my mum, weirdly, bless her heart, she loves reflexology. She loves me giving it to her too. Um, she actually did reflexology when I was a younger adult, and she learnt it off a friend and used to do it on us all. And I sort of thought to myself, I'd quite like to do something like that. And so so that put it into my head really that, oh, I could do that, learn that. And that's what I did.
And how
So
many years ago was that?
I actually was supposed to start my course in March 2020.
Oh, okay. So I take it that didn't happen and they didn't do it online.
My poor tutor, um, I'll I'll just call her out. Pathways in Norwich.
Yeah.
She's called Angela Sellenstrake. She's absolutely brilliant at teaching reflexology. So if anybody wants to learn it, and they're in the Suffolk or Norfolk area, just look her up. Um, she had never done kind of the online courses. It was all done, in a personal way, which was the best way to learn. And she had to rejig everything. And we did everything in blocks in 2020 because they were locking us down in between, and we were having to kind of go into a block of this and a block of that, and rather than the way she liked to do it. And she was amazing, and she just really pulled us all through. But unfortunately, some people kind of lost momentum. And so we actually started doing the practical in September 2020. And I really enjoyed that part of it, but we were in full PPE. I very quickly exempted myself from the mask mandates because I just couldn't breathe in it, and I was getting hypoxia. By the end of a day's doing reflexology, I just couldn't do it. And I said to her, look, I've asked my doctor and it's okay, I'm exempt. I'm not going to wear a mask unless I'm really close to a person. So we did that. We went through all of that, and 4 of us passed. We actually only got passed in September last year. So it took us, instead of a
Oh,
year,
right. Wow.
2 years, and 4 of us passed out of 13 people. And then I don't know if more people have passed since. I'm sure they have, but that helped us to get the course moderated, and so she could get at least a few of us through. So it's really, really hard journey.
You got there. Did you
Very proud.
when you were
Yeah.
young? So when you were younger, did you have any? Did you have any knowledge of like energy or anything? You know?
Yes, yeah, I
Yeah.
would say from about the age of 3, I was definitely channeling spirit. I found it very difficult because I was so sensitive to energies and um, all of that. I just found it really hard. So I think I closed that veil down for many, many years, because when you don't have any control over those energies coming in, you start to get very it's difficult for you. It becomes difficult for you. You start to feel a little bit like you're a bit weird.
It's a bit hard to
um,
navigate reality, isn't it? When you have other.
yeah, so you kind of shut it down because people say to you, oh, you're a bit strange. But then when you get into using these therapies, you start to meet others who also do this, and so you kind of feel less like a kind of freak, which I think that comes later on in life, and also being able to control rather than always having those channels open. We have
Yeah.
to learn to close them too, because if we bump into these energies continuously, we would get overwhelmed. So we have
100%. I think this would be lovely. I know a couple of people. One person, she does she's local to us actually. She does a homeschool school to teach children how to open up their pineal gland, you know, all that sort. And she teaches them to read blindfolded.
wow.
She's been on the TV quite a few times, and one of my friend's children went there, and it's the most fascinating thing. She said if children from like a baby are taught how to do this, that she teaches them, yeah, basically how to start expanding out the brain and connecting into the universal energy. So these kids will literally read a whole book with a blindfold on.
That's amazing.
They
And
play football
actually,
blindfolded without bells in the foot. It's the most fascinating thing, and there's so you can see the energy in these kids as well.
yeah,
You
it's
know,
absolutely amazing.
enlightening them.
Children, I've had a couple of children in the room. I've had one this week, a young girl of 13, and she had ADHD. She has ADHD, and I'd said to the mum, you know, because I'd had her in for healing, I said, because the daughter's homeschooled, I said, why don't you at some point bring her in and I'll do a little project with her. And so I'd printed a whole load of garbage off, from my college days that I'd done, and gave that to mum so she can take that home with her. And I did 2 treatments. I did the Reiki and reflexology on the little girl, and she gave me a 10 out of 10 afterwards. And the lady said, oh, you were so good with her. And I don't charge for that, because when you have a child in the room, you have to realize that there's a reason the child is in the room. And I had a child who had lots of problems going on, and I was always looking for somebody who would help me. And I can just remember that it was very expensive to get some help, some therapy for the child. And so I've made it a policy of mine never to charge for children. And I just don't. If somebody wants to make donations, that's up to them. But a good old Google review is always, the way forwards.
Yeah, no, definitely. Because I always, with energy as well, what you send out there, you get back.
Absolutely. And doing those treatments, and some of the treatments I've done for free, which I have, I've got a friend whose partner died recently, and I gave him some free treatments while he was unfortunately dying. And those are so important. And now I'm giving her treatments to get over his death. So we have to do some things that there are certain things that you have to understand, as a healer. You need to give for free, even though I love my paid work as well.
Yeah, I'm the same. I do sessions for people sometimes, and I just like, nah, go on, that's a freebie. Just
Yeah,
work's done. Go and have a happy
and
life.
all my distance healing is free, and people get so much out of it. It's unbelievable. I've got people who've had healing in this room and then have distance healing, and they've actually got even more out of the distance healing. So that's always free.
We'll talk
always.
about the connected energy in a minute, because this is one thing I think people need to really get their heads around, because we've already spoke about we've been a little bit disconnected from the earth, you know, and the earth
Yep,
energies, but there's a much deeper, more powerful energetic source, isn't there? This
there
is
is.
quite a nice song actually to tie into this. Beneath Your Beautiful Labyrinth. Why do you like this one?
Oh, it's just lovely, isn't it? I absolutely adore it. It's very tuneful
It
and
is. It is.
beautiful.
This is
It is
actually,
beautiful.
yeah, it's a beautiful floaty song. This one I like.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
love it.
nice for a Sunday morning. Django, if you wouldn't mind a bit of Beneath Your Beautiful, please. And welcome back to Kindasound this morning on Reality Bites with my lovely guest list, Liz Ward. Nearly need to talk your teeth in there, Liz. So
That's all right.
with the energy then. So let's talk. You were saying about, you know, you do sessions for free for people, which not for everybody, but you know, when it comes in, because I do truly believe. I mean, we've got enough quantum physicists about that talk about this all the time. But everything is energy, and we're all connected with a consciousness.
We
So
are.
yeah, as far as I'm concerned, you know, whatever I'm thinking is having a ramification on someone over here, you know, whatever emotions I'm feeling will have an effect on the unified field, whatever you want to call it. So it's about that self-regulation. What are your thoughts on like the unified consciousness energy of everything?
I truly believe it. I know that when people come in for healing with me, they often go, you know, they go away feeling that different. They come in feeling quite negative, and when they go out, all of a sudden their lives open up. And definitely with the distance healing work, there's something in that with the ether. I do believe we definitely have connection with every other human on earth,
Mm,
and the collective consciousness is so powerful, and people just don't understand. They think that they can stand alone in their energy, but they can't. I think we all have to understand that, like you say, output is what you get in as well. We mirror everything we put in our minds, whether that be love or hate, or you know, any kind of thoughts, they do come back to us, and we have to just understand that, one, forgiveness is key. We have to forgive anybody, even the people that have what so-called trespass against us. We
mm.
have to do forgiveness for our own sakes. That's to do with energetic and energies coming back at us. And then love is the key that opens all doors. If we love ourselves particularly, and we love others as much as we can, and you know, you might get somebody you don't like very much, and that's okay. You don't have to, but always remember that just put out love and ask them to heal, because once the collective heals, then we all heal together. And that is my
Yeah, transform onto a different frequency. I look at it like everything's frequency and vibration.
absolutely,
Much, you know, with
absolutely.
biophotonic light in there as well, but frequency and vibration. So how
Mhm.
I see it is, it's not, I think this is where people get a little bit confused as well with the energetics of it, and they go, oh, you know, you bloody tree hugging hippies loving everything. You've got to have, you're still allowed to have boundaries.
Yeah, you're still
You're still
allowed
allowed
to not like somebody, you know,
and
you might,
protect your space,
yeah,
protect
not
yourself.
resonate. It's
Yeah.
resonation. I always say, you know, you get people coming and going in life, and sometimes you don't like them, so you just have to let them go. And it's not that you don't, it's not that you want to be nasty to anybody at all, but they just aren't your energy.
Mm.
Or they might just make you feel kind of drained, and you're like, I don't need that person. So it's okay to let them go. Just do it with love.
Yeah, just don't.
Um,
It's the holding of the frequency within yourselves, isn't it? That's
yeah,
what I would say. So, you know, if we're splitting company because we've fallen out, I'm going to have my boundaries, and I'm not going to take any negative behaviour that's going to impact me. So it's
yeah.
not like I'm going to be a doormat that will be walked on. However,
No,
everything will be
no.
said from a space of from a heart space. So firm boundaries will come from there. And then
Yeah,
when you've gone, forgiveness will come, because the last thing I want is to be poisoning myself at a cellular level, holding on to those negative vibes, really, isn't it?
yeah, yeah.
That are going to resonate all through your body and lead to the dis-ease. as we were talking
Exactly.
about.
And we're not all love and light. There is no such thing. We all have a balance of yin and yang, which is, we all have dark and light. We also have to accept that within ourselves. We're not perfect. And we're all going to talk about people sometimes in a negative way. But what we have to do is get past that,
Yeah,
get through it and
definitely.
say, actually, we're out the other side of that now.
And I'll tell you what, when you come out of that, because I did that in my youth, I've been through, before you start learning your lessons, I don't know how you found this, but the journey from, breaking your back, going from fully able-bodied to being classed as disabled, I'm currently not able to run, I walk with walking sticks. It taught me a lot about humanity, it slowed me down, going through some mental health stuff. And then learning, it was through all of the adverse conditions that I'd experienced, led me into that space of learning about the brain, learning about the thoughts, learning about the emotions, learning about your belief systems. Now, then moving up the stage, you learn that, and then I got very interested in the subject, and then you move into the energetics of it. And then, then you go up another level, don't you? And I can genuinely say through all of that, I've got to that point in life now where not a lot bothers me. I still get flagged up a little bit, but when I do, I watch it, I observe it, I let it run through my body, and then I just go, I'll transmute that into something lovely and send it back.
Which is actually, the transformation of energy. And that's actually very, very healthy to do. Grounding out that energy, kind of meditating on it and saying, you know what, I'm getting angry with this person, and why? If I just let it go, it's going to be so much better for me. And I can ground that energy down to earth and just say goodbye to it. And that's okay. It's all right to do.
Most people don't think about the thing that you've had the thing about anyway when they go away. So you're only, someone said this to me, I think the old adage goes that you're drinking poison, hoping it will poison the other person, basically, when you're sitting at home, stewing in it all.
Yeah.
You're basically sitting there with a cup of poison going, this is for you, but I'm going to drink it. And it's like, do you really, when someone said that to me, it was like, yeah, that really does resonate, and made me think about how I then regulate my thoughts even more, and the emotions. And like you say, I'm no angel. I still have days I have thoughts, there's yin and yang in everything, isn't there, all throughout the day. It's just different choices when you get the knowledge of it and you start practicing these things, because it all takes practice as well, doesn't it, Liz? It's not something that it happens overnight and you're a master.
No, I noticed as well, the strangest thing is that since I've been doing this practice and doing these therapies as well, is I just don't have rows with my husband anymore. We just don't row at all. And it's because I just walk away from confrontation now. I just go, no. I'm just gonna, it irritated me, but I'm just gonna ground that down and I'm done with it. I just don't do it anymore. And it's so healthy. It's not that we don't disagree, because we do. But what I find is now, I just walk away from that and just say, no. I don't do that anymore, that getting angry. I don't get angry in the same way. And I just find healthier ways to just channel that out. And, it does definitely help. The Reiki, for me, has been really, really helpful, because it channels down any kind of feelings at all of inadequacy or bad words that are said to you. The one thing I notice when I'm doing Reiki on somebody as well is that I get from their aura is often people are feeling unworthy and not loving themselves, and feeling, I get often things coming to me of them actually having things said to them which has made them feel not quite as good as they should. And so the problem is they then pass that on to other people. So you're energetically then, because you don't feel and you don't love yourself enough, you're passing that on to others. So you're kind of giving others the same, a little bit of the same as you've been given. And that's where generationally we need to kind of start realizing that we need to take those cords and break those cords with generational inadequacy and feelings of shame or guilt or not worthy. And that's a lot of the work that I do in my room, energetically with people, untying.
With the PTSD trauma stuff I do, I must admit, when I get to the belief system stage with people, and it's like, what does that mean or say about you if that happened? And they go, that I'm just not worthy, not worth anything, you know. And that one, that's probably the biggest one. That's the most used word that comes out, the not worthy. And it's interesting, isn't it, how we get this embedded in us. We get it embedded in us through other people in life. It's not that we obviously end up thinking it. However, it comes from other people just showing you who they are in their map of reality.
It does. And also, I think parents are not, that it's not their fault, but they don't get given a book when we're children. They can say things, and we've all done it as parents, where you said something and you think, oh, I shouldn't have said that. And then that can go through a child's life, and they can carry that for a long, long time. And even doing Reiki on my own youngest child, I've managed to unlock so much, good stuff that's come out of it, and doing so well and so stable because of it.
Flippant comments, isn't it? This is what I found in education when I listened to some teachers, and there's no blame or judgment. It's what I always say with everything I do. There's no blame or judgment, because you don't know what you don't know.
No.
If you've not studied neurology and neuroprogramming and behavioral science, you wouldn't know that the words you're saying are going to have that type of impact on someone that young. However, things like just saying, oh, don't be so stupid, don't be so stupid, don't be so stupid.
That goes in.
Is enough to go in, and that child think, I must be stupid.
I remember when I was about 7, I had a maths teacher. Well, he was actually the deputy head of our school, and I was 7, and I'm rubbish at maths. I mean, I'm going to admit it. I'm terrible. He actually shook me and said, you just can't do maths, and I can't do maths. And it made me feel quite inadequate for many, many years as a person, because I couldn't do maths. And I'm like, now I'm not inadequate as a person because I'm not good at maths. I'm not good at maths, and that's okay.
That's it.
I will add the big number to the little number, It's okay.
I can't play the violin, and I don't really care.
No.
Do you know what I mean? It's not ruining my life that I'm not able to play the violin.
Who cares? I'm a good enough person. I don't need that.
Yeah.
I'm okay.
That's quite a beautiful, that's a beautiful little mantra for people to say. I say this to people all the time: you're good enough as you are. When they go into an interview, I go, just remember, you're good enough as you are. Just be you, because you're good enough as you are.
Yeah. I mean, I passed a level 3 diploma in reflexology, and I've done Reiki attunement, and now I've passed a diploma in Indian head massage. I'm not stupid, but I'm just not good at maths, and I accept it.
Maths just isn't your thing, and there's nothing wrong with that. So
it's really not.
It's really not. This next song we've chosen, I love this as well. After the show, I'm going to be playing old 70s playlists, by the way, 70s and 80s playlists, basically.
Yeah.
Since You've Been Gone, Kelly Clarkson. Why do you like this one?
Oh, I like the tune. I just love. I'm one of these people who I just have this faves list.
Yeah.
That it's just one of these ones where I always have it on in the car, and I just listen to it again and again.
This is a sing it at the top of your lungs one, isn't it? This one.
It is.
When no one's about, yeah, preferably, because I'm not the best at karaoke, is all I'll say there. So I'll keep this one to myself. But Django, if you wouldn't mind, a bit Since You've Been Gone, please. And welcome back to Kindasound for the final part of Reality Bites this morning with my lovely guest Liz Ward. So Liz, I want to talk reflexology and energy and stuff with you. So for those people who don't know, I know because I've had it done, and I'm glad I found a reflexologist, because I've been wanting my feet sorted for a while. So can you just tell us, first of all, what is reflexology?
Okay, so it's done on the hands or the feet. It's a form of, it's very, very old. I mean, it was the Egyptians did a form of it, and it comes from there, China and Africa, and it's basically using points on. Oh gosh, sorry.
It's all right.
Points on the feet, or the hands, which work with the meridians of the body. The same way a massage works with the meridians of the body, it works in zones. And you have different points on the feet, which all are different points in the body. So we work on those to help balance them. We can't claim to cure, although some of my clients do say that it's amazing. But we do balance all the points. So what you'll find is when you're on somebody's feet is you will get little crystal feelings, or a feeling, where do you go away? Sorry, or a feeling of being it being not quite right. So you'll be balancing it, and balancing all the systems. And so you'll do an hour of that usually on somebody's feet, and then you might have somebody who's got specific illness and you're kind of working around those points a little bit more. But it's originally from Egypt and the Middle East, but we've brought it over into the West. And it was there were several things that came before it, like zone therapy. And then there was a lady called Eunice Ingham, who was the mother of reflexology, who called it reflexology. And she started schools in that modality so people could actually learn it. So yeah, it's been going in this country for quite a long time. People originally did get in a lot of trouble for practicing these things and saying that they could help people, but luckily these days we are actually allowed to practice.
It's the same as anything. It makes me laugh. We've got so many cures, like natural cures for cancers, and I have a friend who he's like a crazy biochemist and some other bits and pieces, but on the natural side of things. And he met someone who had Lyme's disease, and they were really, really ill. And he said, "I've got a cure for that. I can have you cured in 2 weeks." And he said, "You won't cure me because I've had this. The doctors have said this is incurable." He did my mate's protocol within 2 weeks. He was right as rain, and he was like, "How does this work?" And it was using all like natural remedies, but you're not allowed to put so you have to put a disclaimer on it.
We have to, we're not allowed to claim to cure anybody, but we do amazing work, and the balancing of all these meridians, it does really, really help people. And like I say, it's been going for a long, long time now, and there's a lot of schools now that teach it, so it's really good. And there's several foot charts that you can use. They're not all the same. So I've got a lady that does the same reflexology kind as I do, which is light touch, but she learned in a different school, and it's slightly different areas that she touches for the same points. So it's amazing. It's just brilliant. It really does work, and you can really feel imbalances in the feet and the hands. You can feel them and work on them, and you can get rid of those what we call crystals, and it just helps people.
Is it similar to like massage? Because I used to do sports massage, so I'd find a knot. Do you know what I mean? And like someone would go, "Oh God, what is that?" And I'd go, "Oh, like you just got a little knot." But my hands were very good at just finding the bits that, like you say, were not in balance on the muscle structure.
You can, with me, because I'm very spiritual, I've got Reiki running through my hands as well all the time. So I can literally feel it, just even from a point of view of energetically. I can feel when somebody's foot is wrong in a place. I can just feel it. Even if I was to work off the feet, it would be okay, because I've got that spiritual side of it, which is the holistic side of reflexology. But yes, it works with all the zones of the body, and it's very fascinating that the toes are, your nails are your skull, and the ball of the feet is the chest, the lungs, and then you've got the top of the foot of the other side, that's the chest area, and all the back of the body. So each part of the foot. When I'm dealing with people's feet, they say, "Why do you like feet?" I'm like, I don't really specifically like feet.
Yeah.
I just love the fact that I'm working on your body by just working on your feet, and it really, really helps people and balances them out. So this
And
is
it is a lovely experience. I've had I can't speak today.
yeah, reflexology.
Reflexology, I've had it, and I absolutely adore it.
Yeah.
You
And as
said
an
as well.
MAR, sorry, as an MAR, we can also, if somebody has health insurance, we can also invoice them and they get free treatments for free from
Oh,
their health insurance.
that's a
That's
handy
because
thing
I'm
to
an
know.
MAR. So because I'm a member of the Association of Reflexologists. So that's really nice for my clients that have health insurance. It's great. And they get their 3 treatments for free normally. And yeah, so it's great for them. And that's something you don't get without that MAR status.
Yeah,
So
that's
makes
handy. And with the I just wanted to briefly, because we're nearly at the end of the show,
sorry, yeah.
touch on your Reiki healing with the shamanics. I'm very interested in this. So I've
Yeah.
never heard anybody do Reiki healing with shamanics. So could you just give our listeners and viewers, because this goes out on YouTube as well after the show,
Yeah.
if you could just give people a little bit of background into Reiki and shamanics and how you use them both together.
So Reiki is you get the symbols and you bring down light energy through those symbols. But what I've found, and I haven't done any formal shamanic training, but I've had some kind of remembrance, I don't know, on perhaps a previous life, because I've got a shamanic healer friend, and he says that I am using that alongside the Reiki. So what I'm doing is just doing a few techniques which he says are not Reiki techniques alongside the Reiki. What I find is with the Reiki is it focuses my mind. So using the symbols focuses my mind, but I seem to be working with universal energy on a one-to-one basis. So I'm particularly the Merlin energy, which a lady this morning actually saw Merlin, which was crazy and brilliant. And I'm just bringing that energy in using the symbols.
So basically what you do, for those listening, you channel energy through you and use that to help, again,
yes,
similar to the reflexology, balance out.
yeah, it's channeling the light energy from up through the heavenly realms and coming down into the body, white light, and then just basically that heals the body by balancing it again, but it balances the energy body. We also, all the chakras, we balance all of the chakras, so we're going around doing that at the same time. But what I do as well is straighten the circadian at the bottom, which is not a Reiki technique, and I seal the aura, which is more of a shamanic technique. And I'm bringing the aura up out of the body, and I've had people saying they can actually feel themselves floating above their body. So I'm using a dragon energy as well, which is cleansing the aura. So people are getting a very different experience with it, which is, it's great. And I'm like, well, it's working for people, and so I'm adapting this technique a little bit, and I'm hoping to learn a little bit more of my beautiful friend Kev Bailey over at Long Eaton. I think he's Long Eaton. I'm hoping to go over there at the end of the summer and meet up with him and learn some more shamanic techniques. And if anyone wants a shaman, he's amazing.
Wonderful. So, well, there's so much to us, isn't it? We're not just a flesh puppet, are we? We're, no. You've got to look after your mental, physical, emotional, spiritual. There's so much more to us, and the energy body needs as much care as your physical body.
Absolutely.
It really does. So it's been an absolute pleasure talking.
You too.
I can't believe this has gone so quick. If people want to get hold of you, Liz, and they want to follow you, they want to book a session, how do they do that?
Well, I'm on Facebook under Enchanted Hands. I'm also on Nextdoor under Enchanted Hands or Liz Ward. And I have a website, and it's capital E, enchantedhands.co.uk. And you can book an appointment through the website. And yeah, I think that's it. I'm also on Google, so you can Google me under Enchanted Hands, or yell.com also. And there's lots and lots of beautiful reviews that you can read from clients that have come to me. So yeah, I mean, and if anybody wants any free distance healing, then do feel free to message me or call me. I don't know, I can give my phone number out. I'm quite happy to do that if you want me, if I
What I'll
can.
do is I'll put all of your information, I'll get you to send to me, and
Yeah.
we'll put it in the links, because this goes
Okay.
out all over the place on different
Yeah.
podcasts and things. So we'll
Happy to
make
do
sure that
that.
there's accessible information everywhere for
Yeah.
people to get hold of you,
Yeah.
and just share the love about, really.
Oh, absolutely. And it's been an absolute pleasure to meet you.
Yeah,
It's been
you as well.
a strange
You're only up the
experience to have
you're
met
only
you
up,
this way.
yeah, you're only up the road, so we're gonna have I'm sure we're gonna have a catch up for a cuppa.
I can't wait. I can't wait. And our beautiful friend Catherine too, who kind of introduced us. So thank
Yeah,
you.
that would be lovely. I've not seen her for a while, so that would be nice to whatever.
Another
Yeah, well, let's have
beautiful
a triple
friend.
meet up. Let's have a triple meet up. That'll be lovely. Get her
That
to
would be
go
amazing.
Woodbridge area somewhere, so she's
Yeah,
hasn't got far to go.
I would love to go to Woodbridge because I love Woodbridge. It's
Oh, perfect.
beautiful, and
There you go.
there you go.
I'll give Taff a shout then and see if we can catch a triple catch up.
Definitely, definitely,
Right.
we will.
Liz,
It's
it's been an absolute pleasure. I'm just going to ask Django as well. Django, thank you for producing today. And can you play us out with? I want to ask you actually. Are you with me? Lost Frequencies. I've never heard of this one. Who is this?
oh,
Like this?
it's a kind of a clubby song, but it's still got that real beautiful kind of vibe. And I always, are you with me? It just says everything. It's all about I think human connection. Are you with me?
Beautiful.
And I think we are all connected, and we have to understand that we're all with each other, and we have to make those connections, those beautiful ones.
Exactly. You're never alone. I love that, Liz. Thank you so much, my friend. Really appreciate this
Thank
one.
you so much.
All right. Love to all the listeners. Thank you for tuning in. And I will see you next week on Kindasound, or you'll hear me on Kindasound, because I do this on video. I always get myself confused. But thank you all and have a lovely week.